Anxiety from an Ayurvedic perspective is considered to be produced as a result of disturbed vata in the body. That's what we'd call it in Ayurveda. Vata is the force in the body, or the aspect of the body's physiology that governs all movement. So when this physiological intelligence that governs movement is disturbed, one of the effects of this can be a feeling of anxiety on a mental level. If anxiety is persistent, then it can also be an indication that certain of the body's tissues, especially what they term Majja, so this can be the nerve tissue, is very depleted. And this has an effect of, again, bringing about a feeling of anxiety or unsupportedness, almost like a hollow feeling in the body. And again, this manifests as a mental feeling of anxiety. So one of the other things that can also be there is a depletion of what they call ojas in Ayurveda. Now this is a very important subtle substance which from an Ayurvedic point of view helps to integrate all of the physiological functions in the body. It helps to integrate all of the tissues and their functions, so it maintains the balance of hormones, it helps to stabilise and produce the right balance of neurotransmitters, as well as a whole lot of immune factors. So it's actually very, very important when it comes to upholding the strength of the body, both on a mental and physical level. So from a physical level, it supports the immune system and our physical strength. Whereas from a mental point of view, it's actually helping to provide us with stability, the ability to withstand any kind of stress, and feelings of contentment, patience, warmth. These things can't exist without ojas. So if ojas is depleted in any way, then one of the first things we start to experience is feelings of fear, worry, or anxiety. So this is a much deeper depletion that starts to occur over time. One of the things they say about ojas in Ayurveda is that it is located more concentrated in certain parts of the body. Although it's diffused throughout the body, it also has certain areas of concentration. And these are in the heart and also in the reproductive organs, but also in the adrenal glands. Now this is because what happens is when there is prolonged periods of stress and therefore prolonged stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system and consequent production of adrenaline and cortisol, what can happen is when that adrenaline and cortisol are produced by the adrenal glands, it takes ojas to manifest or to bring about the secretion of those endocrine hormones. So what happens is, as those hormones are secreted, over time, when their levels are high in a chronic fashion, then ojas gets depleted. From an Ayurvedic perspective, every single person is considered unique. And so when they walk in through the door, each person receives advice and recommendations that are specific for them as individuals. However, when treating anxiety from an Ayurvedic point of view, it's very, very important to consider a few fundamental factors. One of these is the disturbance of vata, which we've already mentioned. This fundamental, this physiological intelligence that governs movement in the body. This needs to be stable and operating in a smooth, regular, stable fashion so that anxiety is not generated in the first place or exacerbated. Now, the second thing is to ensure that depletion of Majja, or the nervous tissue, so to ensure that the nervous tissue is being properly supported, properly nourished, and thirdly, that ojas is also supported and nourished. So in Ayurveda we do this using several different approaches. The first is, and most fundamental, is diet and lifestyle. Diet and lifestyle is essential. Without the proper diet, which is going to be supporting a good digestive fire, which is then in turn going to nourish the tissues. So for the tissues to be properly nourished, the digestive fire needs to be functioning properly. If we don't look after Agni, then the tissues are not going to be nourished. So the Agni needs to be working properly in a balanced way. Once this is happening, then we can start to incorporate things in our diet which are actually going to be directly nourishing and supportive of the nerve tissue. So slightly oily, slightly heavier substances in the right amounts, which are going to support Majja and also supporting Ojas. And there are certain specific foods that support Ojas. Things like ghee are very, very good, for example, for both supporting Majja and Ojas. And so on and so forth. There are many things that are specific for that. As well as that, we need to look at lifestyle. Lifestyle is very, very important. And one of the most important things with lifestyle when it comes to balancing Vata and supporting nourishment of the tissues, both the nervous tissue as well as Ojas, is regularity. Regularity needs to be there. Our body loves, our physiology loves regularity and routine. It likes to get into a rhythm. So this is one of the most important parts of lifestyle. Yeah. And as well as that, regular rest. Rest must be there. Most of us are moving at such a crazy, hurried pace all the time that Vata is very, very easily disturbed. It's very, very sensitive in this way. So we need to have enough rest and we need to have enough regularity and routine in order for Vata to be properly balanced. And then this nourishment of the tissues can take place automatically. One of the other things we do in Ayurveda is, and which are very, very special in Ayurveda, is body treatments. So in particular things like Ayurvedic massage using special medicated oils and Shirodhara, which involves the pouring of warm medicated oil over the forehead, are very, very beneficial for anxiety. In fact, Shirodhara is considered to be a treatment which is specific for anxiety, insomnia, any kind of mental disturbances. So Shirodhara is usually performed as a series of treatments. It's the effect of the treatments is cumulative. So usually I would recommend a series of 5 to 7 Shirodhara treatments. And what this does is it helps to feed the nervous system directly. It has a very calming, stabilizing effect on the mind, as well as feeding and nourishing the nervous system. Directly the central nervous system without having to bypass the liver, for example. Anything that we eat has to be digested, absorbed and bypasses the liver before it can begin to nourish the tissues. Whereas when we're using these external treatments such as massage and Shirodhara, the effect is immediate. The dermal absorption of the medicines and the oil itself has a direct nourishing supportive effect on those tissues. So finally, from an Ayurvedic point of view, we have a vast array of plant medicines available to us. So herbal medicines, formulations which help to directly pacify Vata, steady its movement, regulate its movement, ensure that it's moving steadily, deeply in the body the way that it should be. Also working to directly nourish the nervous tissue and also to directly nourish Ojas. So as well as these things, it also helps to support adrenal function. Yeah. So in any cases of adrenal fatigue, adrenal insufficiency, these herbal medicines can be excellent and they have quite a profound effect. So at the Mudita Clinic we're very, very lucky. We have not only the physical aspects of Ayurveda, so diet and lifestyle, body treatments and herbal medicines to support treatment within a physical framework. We also have our model of Buddhist psychology, both counselling and mindfulness coaching to take care of the mental side of things. Now, you can't really have one without the other. We need to have a strong physical foundation because otherwise any counselling and mental work we do just doesn't stick. And we need to have the mental approach to things. So we need to have the counselling, we need to have the mindfulness coaching, because otherwise we just continue to behave in ways that are going to be physically detrimental in the long term. So we need to have both aspects.